Hello and welcome, Cybermaster fans. Thank you for joining me here on January 11th. It's Wednesday evening, doing another show. Wanted to tell you about the event that I spoke at and attended today. It was the second annual Hudson Valley Cybersecurity Summit. I spoke at the first one as well. Take a look at that. Here's the invitation. It was the second annual Hudson Valley Cybersecurity Summit, bolstering cybersecurity readiness. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. What a message there. Was there quite early. Took many hours to get there. Spoke with somebody. Spoke for the college, and spent some time with a friend of mine who is the commissioner there. That's Glenn Markey, the IT commissioner, there's me with my eyes closed, of Dutchess County, who organized this entire event. He and I have known each other for many years. We speak quite often. He's advised me when I needed it, and certainly I work with him when he needs it. There I am on the panel, in the middle there. That's the company I represent with my other name at Marist College. We were discussing some interesting stuff. If you take a look at that, the individual from the New York office of the governor's office spoke. So let me introduce you who was on my panel. We were at panel number 1 at 9:50. Colin Ahern, the Chief Cybersecurity Officer, New York State Office of Governor. Megan Cook, Program Director, Center of Technology and Government. I've known her for many years. We've spoken on panels together. We've had a similar conversation about cybersecurity multiple times over. There's that guy, Ed Eisenstein. Then we have Richard Pina, the Google Cloud Government Security Engineer. Very interesting title. And Dana Smith, who's actually the OEM, or Office of Emergency Management Response Commissioner for Dutchess County. And of course, he would be involved with these events, God forbid they were ever to happen. Had a really interesting time there. I just want to show you what the crowd looked like. It was about 350 people or so that showed up and heard us speak. The panels went till about noontime, then they served lunch, yada, yada, yada. We were also out front. There was a hallway interaction where we met with the guests as they were coming in and out of the conference there. Just to hear a couple of the speakers talk, here's Colin.
Do this, you need to do that. As has been said by other panelists before, this is complicated. Definitely the wrong decision is doing nothing right now. We're not saying that we're perfect or that we're perfect people, but by working on this problem together and focusing on the basics, routine things routinely, that I think is the key to continuing to advance against a complex problem.
So I just want to say that really it's about readiness, right? So we're all talking about preparing to the best of our ability. It was incredible speak next to those folks, two really senior government people. Again, I spent 8 years in senior government as a technologist, so it was certainly quite interesting to be there. There I am again on the panel, looking super interesting. For some reason, I have a thing with holding my face. Every picture, I'm holding my face. Why are you holding your face? I don't know. There's something wrong with me. Anyway, so what did we talk about? We talked about a number of subjects regarding what's happening. I was asked what's happening with the Suffolk County cyber attack that was in a neighboring county from where I had worked. We talked about cyber insurance, the current threat on governments, why governments are so interesting to hackers. It's a treasure trove of personal identifiable information. These hackers take this information and play tricks on folks. It certainly is working. It's working in the tune of billions of dollars. Take a look at my slide presentation that I had made here. The problem. The rate of successful ransomware attacks have grown exponentially year after year. Hackers tricking the users or planting malicious code on the computer computers users continue to be vulnerable to these extreme attacks. Look at some of these numbers, year after year after year. I propose the question to the audience and to the other panelists. Are these numbers going to keep going up? 2022 is higher. 2023 is going to be what, 70, 80 billion dollars? These attacks are working. They're obviously getting through. They're getting to governments, they're getting to schools, they're getting to libraries. It's really getting everywhere. This is what I left the folks with, right? Got to do proactive planning. Got to get these road mapping sessions going. And it's got to include everybody. The people from the budget office, the folks from the controller's office. Everybody's got to be on board. And certainly the executive and the senior management of this operation has to really be behind it in all ways. If an IT guy comes to you or a manager and you just dismiss those requirements, that's no good. Look what's happening. It's growing. You can't just let this go like this, right? So I had 3 key takeaways that I left with the audience. Number 1 certainly is that there is a standard, and the standard is the NIST standard. And I've talked about this before. The NIST standard is the National Institute, let's pull it up here, National Institute Standards and Technology. These folks have put out a cybersecurity standard. It's what everyone should be following. Certainly we follow this standard. We've worked with a certified Homeland Security practitioner 2 years ago and went through our NIST compliance requirements. It's a very big deal to do. We had to go through it. One of our clients was getting a very large opportunity, and it required them as well as us to be under scrutiny on these big cyber requirements. And we went through this NIST requirements and passed with flying colors, which was really great to know that, we're overly paranoid with how we do things over there in my office. So certainly there is a standard. It's not perfect. Something's being developed. It's about a 1,600 question, it was reduced maybe to 800 question survey in terms of what your security standards are, what your backup standards are, what your documented items are. These requirements are not all about computers. It's actually mostly about management and having your ducks in line. And do you have everybody's phone number if there's an emergency? And a backup plan if people disappear. It has a lot to do with workflow and business more than, just as much as the technology part. So everyone has to be involved, not just the tech dudes, management, financial, you name it, So it's a great website to look at and get informed with. They obviously work with many industries, as you see here, but certainly for cybersecurity, they are leading the way there. Let's take a look at that for a moment. Cybersecurity. This develops cybersecurity standards, guidelines, best practices, and other resources to meet the needs of the U.S. industry, federal agencies, and the broader public. So, yeah, that's pretty serious. That is the standard. Here it is. I recommend that you have any interest in what I'm saying. This is what we're trying to achieve, get better at. I pose an interesting question. My question is, when is the world ready for a licensed IT operator? I've asked this question to a number of people and I get different results. It's really interesting. It has to be logical that at some point the IT operator will be like a licensed plumber, a licensed contractor, so many other things in our industry. Wouldn't there be a licensed IT operator? What would the world look like? Could technology achieve that level of standard where there is a licensed operator, a standard that's held by the federal government, if you will? it's interesting the results I get. I'll have a whole show on that going into the future. So let me see what else I got cooking on my iPad here. That's what it looks like. Marist College, very nice. Drove up. It was quite early in the morning. Very nice place there. Here's the introduction.
I want to thank Dutchess County for looking towards Marist in terms of hosting this event. This is something that
As you can see, this is the dean of the school, Roger Norton of Marist College.
is important to the college. It's also important to me in terms of the school of computer science.
People were just getting in at that time. This is the introduction of Jeffrey Smith, who spoke eloquently about the event.
Graduation in 1979, accepted a commission in the United States Army.
There he is.
Converge space has been with us since.
Believe it or not, he spoke about antiquities and ancient Egypt, and how we as humans are coders, and how those codes were taken off the walls of those hieroglyphics and put on paper, and how they wrapped those mummies in paper that was written on to describe who that human was, because looking at a human through just flesh and blood wasn't enough. So they would write about this person and then wrap them in these in these blankets. Incredible knowledge he has, and how he refers to us today as the coders. We are just like the ancient Egyptians. Brilliant. This guy blew me away, changed my life. Really awesome. I want to hear a few minutes of him.
Talk a little about converged space. If you could go to
Let's keep going here.
First of all, this document up here and the initial landscape of the cyber threat, wonderful, powerful reading. Not only does it, in my view, represent the same categories of threats and threat actors that any summary produced by the FBI, the CIA, NSA, the national security elements, Homeland Security.
Anywho, I can keep going here with this gentleman. He's just an incredible speaker. If you have any interest, I can
The Milky Way, of course.
play more of his items.
This is our home. And quite frankly, I put this up here because in all likelihood, as physical beings,
Very interesting concept.
building a
Faced with the possibility of extinction, we invent the virtual world, a realm composed of symbols that we use to build complex societies that can solve complex problems. It's interesting how he relates this to ancient Egypt. Listen, I'm not a college professor. I can't do it justice. It's very interesting how that played out, guys. So that's Glenn Markey, the CIO for Dutchess County. Beautiful man. Those were the panelists that spoke. We had a good event. One of the things that I find interesting, we have events after event. We speak about this, myself and Megan here, over the last 10 years or so, had spoken in government about more or less the same subjects. And it seems, based on these numbers, that I don't know if people have really learned anything. I know we've spent a lot of money. I know there was a lot of lectures. There's a lot of summits. And are these numbers going down? So I turned to her. I said, Megan, are these numbers going to go down based on people learning from this seminar? And she goes, I hope they got something out of this one. And it keeps building and building. Eventually, there'll be a good wall. I believe that. Yes, eventually there'll be a cyber wall. But the cyber wall currently more or less belongs to the businesses and operations within America. We are the cyber wall, right? The government leaves it to us to buy products and systems to defend our businesses from getting our asses kicked by these hackers. To me, these numbers mean something slightly different. They mean that we are under some kind of attack. How is the American wealth being siphoned with these hackers on a daily basis by the billions of dollars, and it's growing and no one can stop it? This is some kind of war. This has gone beyond vandalism. This has gone beyond anything like that. This is a war. And everybody better watch their ass and get what you need to lock down your systems, because this is not a game anymore. You may have seen my previous shows. We mess with the hackers. We make fun of them. We joke with them. Man, those are some mean guys there. They can really get to you. In our office, we see regularly people getting hacked in all kinds of different ways, getting faked out. I saw an AI product that will scare the bejesus out of you. Plug in somebody's name, email address, and some slight PII, personal identifiable information, and the machine will hack that user in different ways automatically. So really, get behind a password manager. Look at this seriously. If you work for a company and you have stuff that's lingering around because you're waiting for something, I don't know what, you're going to get your ass handed to you by one of these hackers. They call us every day, right? So we have a good wall. We have a great wall. Thank you for watching. I hope to have some great guests on next week. I have another podcaster. We'll be talking about podcasting and what it's like to get started. We are in season 4. This is my 4th season. So I hope to be able to bring some great shows and what I promised, and some interesting guests. I'm going to take a couple of different directions with the show. We're going to make it a little bit more entertaining. I don't want to give it away just yet. I may have to get clearance on some of the things I want to do. But it should be pretty fun. And looking forward to having you guys in the future. Thank you for watching Cybermasters. There's a lot more to come. And like I said, some really interesting, entertaining shows. Some really nothing to do with technology, just some wacky, interesting stuff. And then others, probably another cybersecurity panel. I'll have a camera guy with me on my next event, so they'll be able to record me the whole time instead of this kind of bits and pieces show. So to be continued. All right. So thanks, guys.